Good morning.
He's just checking systems so Jay doesn't forget the basic stuff.
I've put it to record already.
Okay, Jay, can I share screen?
Yeah, you have co-host.
Can you see it?
Yes. You can see it.
Oh. So Prashant, what do you do?
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. How are you?
Oh, I'm rocking.
Wonderful. Missed the opportunity of meeting you, to be honest.
Yes. I understand you'd gone to Jay's office.
जी तो देखिए कभी next possible होता है तो would love to meet you, to be honest.
Are you in Pune?
At the moment, sir, in Mumbai, but very likely that maybe coming week or next week following might just make a single day trip sort of thing. So, but I'll check with you when I make it.
Brilliant. So please do. Let me know when you're coming and
Certainly.
I think we'll make some time.
Yeah. अभी कुछ और commitments हैं, I mean extended fit करके फिर देखते हैं.
No problem.
But great time meeting Chetan as well.
Are you enjoying this?
Lovely. It is wonderful, sir. In between the aging memory, right? To be able to remember all these things. Chetan is aware basically.
Because the problem is we think we can get it right.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, it's like, oh damn, I should have done something else. Shall we begin?
Yeah, we're good, sir.
Just 10:05. Should we begin?
Amruta, I realized that we have met. And I said, Amruta Pradhan, can't hear you. Che, can you hear her?
Out of the
I can't
four.
hear. No. Can you hear her?
Now, Amrita, say something now.
Oh, wait. Something's wrong with my system.
No,
Hold
even
on.
I couldn't hear her earlier.
I can't hear you actually.
Amrita, now I can hear you.
Yeah, so I was in the four.
Oh man, I tell you,
I dropped out halfway.
it was working fine till 2 seconds ago. Just hold the line for a second. I'm trying to figure it out. The microphone. You can hear me, right?
We can hear you.
Okay. Brilliant. audio system. Kuch bolo?
Hi. Amrita, say something.
You now.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Amrita, weren't you part of some stuff I've done?
I was in deep 4.
Deep?
4.
No wonder. I said, I know this girl.
But I could come only halfway. And then
Then you
later,
ran away.
yeah.
Oh,
I think
You're
after
one of those 7 people who have run away over a period of 10 years. Hi, Srisha.
Good morning. Good morning,
Hi.
Vishal. Good morning, Chetan.
Oh God, I think I should put my headset on. Trying to figure out this audio thing. So, Che, just let me know when to begin, yeah?
Whenever you get your, you know.
Ready? Okay. Test. Oh man. Okay. Works. Everything works.
Hmm.
How do you set the volume, yeah?
In the Mac top, yeah.
How do you?
So you go to that Apple on top,
Yeah.
you go to system preference.
So Vishwas,
Huh.
this is Rajiv.
Yes. Sir. Rajiv, are you
In
there?
system preferences, you find a thing called sound.
Sorry, I know we have not started yet, but just an offline thing. I believe you are based in Pune, right?
I believe so.
Okay. So I'm most probably I will be in Pune in December. So just wanted to check if it's okay. Based on your availability, I might come and meet you in person.
Feel free to do that whenever you're in town. I try not to stay too busy, so please.
I will connect with you offline, but just to because I wanted to understand a little more on this experiential learning, which which you are, I would say, which you are seeding or harboring in a larger forum.
Yep. So we have a session instead of me talking about it. Just choose to come on the first weekend of any month, and you can attend if you want to find out.
Yeah, that I will connect with you offline. But
No
I
problem.
want to hold the entire audience for this because this session is different. But I'm just harboring sharing my thoughts with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay. शुरू कर रहे हैं?
Yeah.
Let's make a start. Yes.
Camera's on. So I can see your beautiful Sunday morning faces. It's okay to be sleepy, man. It's like, oh man, I have to get up and attend this thing. Che, why do you do it on a Sunday? Anyway, doesn't matter. Okay. So, any thoughts on what's been happening with you and your children over the past week? Did you conduct any experiments on your children? You're supposed to, you know that, right?
So I am not conducting an experiment on him, but I am conducting that experiment on myself, restraining myself from, falling in the trap what I used to do earlier. So trying to be little more sensitive, better behaved, I would say, and not pushing him on lots of things which I feel are right, and he does not like it somehow.
Right.
How I put it.
And what have you found?
I think he started saying that you are improving.
That is a good day. When your children tell you, oh, you're improving. I like that. Nice. Nice. So,
So best was I would put it from a Korean soap opera.
Uh-huh.
Earlier you were very scary, now you are less scary.
Okay. That's still a compliment, even if it's an offhanded one. Yeah.
Not
Nice.
at all, not at all. I
So,
think now I mean, realization is higher that yes, I was scared.
right. So, Rajiv, what might be interesting is to also ask him what difference he's finding. So when he makes a comment like that, don't start feeling good too quickly.
No, he told me that, earlier when you used to scold, used to scold a lot, and I felt threatened. I don't feel safe, which was like a very red flag for me. If a children is not feeling safe with his or her parent,
Yeah.
then it's a very big question mark on the parent.
Yep. Yep. So you started, what did he say? I mean, how have you changed according to him? Did he tell you that?
So he said that, of course, you still scold, but the scolding has come down a lot. Now, understanding, you try to talk me out. I know lots of things I am doing bad, I am not supposed to do, but I'm not able to come out of it. But still, you are giving me, a long leverage, or what you would say, you're giving me space so that I can try.
Right. Nice. And I think the next stage really is to learn how to have these conversations with children. And when they come up with something like this and say something like this, how can we kind of open that conversation up? Because unless they're able to articulate it, they won't be able to explain it. If they can't explain it, you won't know. And if you don't know, then you don't know what you're getting. Okay. So today we're going to be working on that. But before we begin, anybody else who had any interesting experience with your children or with yourself?
Yeah, even I had spoken with my daughter because of some incident which happened at a tuition, which I have narrated in my assignment. So I don't know about her experience, but at least I was able to, handle it, or rather face it more calmly rather than the bias thing is. Yeah, to some extent I was able to do that, but it was more of what Vishwas had said, that just be it. I mean, you, if you want the other person to be calm or understand, then you yourself have to be into that kind of state. So I am trying to do that. Yeah. Still at times I tend to lose temper, and it happens. And that shoe thing, it really happened because she used to always keep her floaters, those straps, very loose. So I don't know, I mean, is it easy to just to put in the legs and just start on your way? So then and then that day she said, oh, I just tightened them. So I was like, okay, I mean, you don't need to do that, whatever, because you are wearing it, and I'm not knowing why you are keeping it like that, whether it is comfortable or it is hurting, shoe bite or something. So it's fine. You just keep it the way you are comfortable with it. Don't, I mean, you don't need to tighten it because I'm saying so. So I guess, yeah, I mean,
But
it's.
you, wait, Rohini. What I'm understanding is you didn't tell her this time.
No, she already did that about
Right.
when
She
she was
did it.
about to leave for the school.
Right. And I'm saying
And
she did it without your telling her. Did I understand that right?
yes, that day I had not told her because
Right.
we are in a
Now,
hurry to
here's
leave.
my question. If she did it without your telling her, what do you think happened?
I
Why
don't know.
did it happen?
Probably I have been telling her multiple times. So she did that, and then after doing it, she told me, "Yes, I mean, I have done it. Maybe the way you wanted me to do it." And
And then what did you say?
then, I mean, I said, I mean, it's okay if even if you keep it the way you usually keep it, because if
Can I
that,
ask you why you said that?
Yeah, because when, I mean, after having this session, basically, uh, I mean that she's wearing the basically the floaters, so she's
Right.
keeping it the way whatever is comfortable for her. So I have no right, or
And
I mean,
So here's the thing. Okay, can I? Do you
yeah,
are you
yeah,
okay
please.
with this? Are you
Yes,
okay
yes.
with this one? Okay. Here's what I'm hearing happen. You became conscious. You didn't tell her, even when you saw her sandals were loose. She probably saw you looking at her sandals.
No, no, I didn't saw. I didn't see that. Just like in the morning hurry when we are about to leave, before opening the door, she had done that, and
She did it by herself.
she did it, and
She
then
did it by herself, right?
yes, I didn't notice
Great.
also.
Great. Now she's done it, which means that somewhere, some part of her brain knows that you might say it because you said it for so long, right?
Right.
So some part of her brain. Then she responds to that need and she tightens her sandals. And then you tell her that you don't have to do it just because I said it. Now,
Yeah, I mean that did not happen immediately because we just went. I mean, we are in a hurry, and
well, I'm sure. But here's
after
the part.
coming from the school, she said that. I mean, I had tightened that, so then I was like, let it be the way you.
Right. Now, by saying what I think you said, that you don't have to do it for me just because I tell you, now she's getting confused signals.
No, means I told her, I don't know. I mean, is it hurting you? That is the reason you kept it loose. Or
Right.
that,
So I'm going to use different words now. Now, here's the thing. When we, let's say, I want my son to do certain things and he doesn't do it. And on a particular day, he does it. Right? What is it we could do? He does it without being told. What is it we can do at that point?
Vishwas, sir,
we
Oh.
ask, if we notice, then we may ask, like, try to figure out why.
Why would you want to figure out why they're doing what you always told them but never followed your instruction?
Because out of the blue,
I know,
they-
right? So now you're surprised. Anushri, you were saying something.
but in this
Yeah,
case, also, I didn't know actually. So only after she came from the school and she told me because I had not seen her floater.
Okay,
So only
great.
after she told me.
May
Good.
I,
Whatever you did, but I'm just using it now as an example. So
may I,
Anushri,
may
yes.
I?
Yeah, okay. Wait, I think Anushri wanted to say something.
Yeah, Vishwas, I was just saying that this happens with me very often. So I keep telling him few things like you have to wash your hands when you come out from outside and stuff. And he tends to be dodging me all the time. But when he does it on his own without me noticing, and sometimes when I notice that he's doing it, then I appreciate him. I
What do you
encourage.
say?
I say that very good. I mean, well done that you've done it on your own, and I didn't have to tell you this.
Okay, so I'm gonna, you see, the danger is that we start praising them for it.
Okay.
And we will talk about it. And
Okay.
there's a difference between praise and noticing.
Okay.
And
Okay.
we will come to that.
All right. Yeah.
At this point in time, I just want to put an exclamation mark as to, okay, when my son does something that I've been telling him for years, and then on a particular day he does it without being told, and I'm surprised, what do I do? What can I do? We will come to that. But Manjeet, did you have something to say?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I would have just given a thumbs up and said, wow, wow, my girl. That's it. Nothing beyond that.
Okay. Right. Now, okay, we'll come to that later. I don't want to dissect this too much at this point in time because I think I just don't want to sound like I'm telling you that you're doing the wrong thing. No, you're not. You're doing whatever you do is right. Okay. But I've just found over time that there's a difference between praise and noticing. And praise is well done, good, blah, blah, blah. And in that praise is also hidden an agenda of ours. That means you've done what I wanted you to. Okay. Now noticing is a little different. Noticing is about even if you didn't say anything, and your son washes your hand and comes, and you say, I noticed you washed your hands. That's it. So there's no good, bad, right, wrong, well done, none of that. You're just noticing. And I don't know, it's not part of our agenda in these 4 sessions, but this is about conversations, right? And there's a funny thing about praise, that the moment you praise somebody, it ends a conversation. Because it's hard, unless somebody is really skeptical about themselves or their curiosity is at a different level. You'll often find that the moment if you want to end a conversation with anybody, just praise them. I'm just giving you a strategy for even the most unpleasant conversations.
So, Vishwas, I have a quick question here, if I may. I'm audible. So I kind of try to practice that basically, not in a family environment, but certainly in, let's say, a team environment where I'm kind of working with a lot of folks, and I notice something that they've done exceptionally well. That there is normally a 3-stage
You see,
process.
Prashant, you already qualified it and judged it. They've done exceptionally well.
Right.
Right? From
Gotcha.
there on,
Yeah.
you know what happened.
Yeah, I was saying that I mean, when I reflect back, I normally take a 3-step approach to it, right? So when we are in a call, right, everybody together, then I call out that I've noticed that they've done something. Then I encourage them and gratefully thank them basically for all their contribution as well. And then I mean, with that gratefulness, we basically move on to something else. And that has worked very often in people getting deeper engagement basically in the day-to-day work as well.
Which is what you want, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I get it. Yeah. But that's a part of the job, right? So when you are doing a job, you want.
Prashant, sure. Now here's my point.
Yes, sir.
And I do a lot of corporate work, right?
Yeah.
And there's these methods that people use, that you use praise, and there's a very, very clear intent behind praise. I want more of it.
I mean, this is why it was importantly, I wanted to mention that I aim to end up at gratefulness, that I'm really thankful for what you actually did.
Now, so here's the thing. Is there another way of showing gratitude without sending a signal that I want more of that behavior? Because I tell you, this is what usually happens. The moment what you say is seen and understood as appreciation, what people call appreciation or praise, right? They begin to work for that.
Yeah.
And do one thing, try it, since you're in a working environment of that sort. Let's say that on a particular day, you notice that somebody has done exceptionally, what you're calling exceptionally well. Don't say a damn thing. See what happens.
I'll try. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Anybody else who had an experiment in their lives last week? And we'll give it another 5 minutes and then we'll move on. And the beauty of this is, whether it's our children or it's our teens, we create so much anxiety about I want it now. I have to fix this. There's so much of that. We don't allow ourselves the freedom, to experiment. So just the ability, you notice something, you judge it as exceptional, and you choose to say nothing. That requires a different energy from ourselves first. And so, that calm that we were talking about, that how do I stay calm in the face of what I urgently want fixed or done by somebody? How do I stay calm? Maybe that's step number one. And one of the ways to stay calm is kind of move away from the whole agenda piece and say, okay, go, if this is not going to end. But we do know one thing, that when we bring that anxiety into our relationship and into our language, it certainly affects and sometimes even ends relationships. And I think that's the choice we're making. We've got to build this brick by brick. Okay. Anybody else before?
I would like to share. I failed miserably 2-3 times that I tried, I would say.
Well done.
Because I think telling is so easy and is so part of our DNA that holding yourself back and being patient to arrive at the conclusion, wait for them to arrive at the conclusion is very difficult. Like I gave up halfway. I tried, slowly, but I gave up halfway and finally told, because telling is like just one sentence, whereas
So easy,
making them
right?
arrive, it's so easy. And then making them arrive to the conclusion takes like a conversation.
So why are you torturing yourself, Chanchal? Why don't you just tell?
I want to change. That's the whole idea, right? I want to work on myself.
I'm just asking.
So I want to work on myself, and like we discussed, my truth may not be their truth. So they have to grow. They have to find their own truth, and which is the whole idea, right? I want to
if you say so. And what I found really wonderful is you recognized it. And I think that's the beginning of the whole game. And you'll find the energy to slow it down. That whole change of energy within ourselves. You're aware of it. And I think that's the most critical part. Becoming aware of it is the first step. Then we can choose to do something, not do something, whatever. But if our whole life is reactive, I'm not even aware of it, and I slap myself each time afterwards, it's kind of late. But if we can catch it and say, okay, I'm struggling with it, that's fine. You find a way. So I hope you have many more struggling moments.
Work in progress.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, shall we begin? Today's Gyan session. Today is about
Hello, can you hear me, Vishwas?
I can, Amrita.
Can you just discuss another 2 minutes?
Yes.
So, okay, because I grew up in an environment where everybody told us everything as children.
We all did.
For me, it's very difficult to even process this idea that, the outcome could be really emergent and it could be their truth. But my question is, when it comes to something like screen time or, something which could catch hold of their minds, like maybe early exposure to substances or typically screen time, because
anything that might be harmful
family.
in your opinion. That's what I'm hearing. Correct? Can you hear me? Amrita, can you hear me? Yeah, you can. Okay. What I'm hearing you say is anything that the parent sees that might be harmful. Yeah. So you refer to substances and you refer to screen time. Continue.
there the hold is so much, or it's so quick that I feel like it has to be fixed right in that moment. Like, and then I mean, I have two sets of people around me. One is who control their children, their screen time very, very strictly, and the other is their children are like just watching mobile every time I see them. So I don't know how to which way to go, or I'm not able to navigate my own path, like how to approach this. So possibly you could share something.
Thanks, Amruta, for raising this question. It's a very big pain for me as well. So I'm also struggling with this big time.
So I don't have an answer, but I can throw some, like you said, shed some light on it. And yeah, I can throw some light on the. Yeah. Okay. But can we just hold on to that for a minute, and we go through some of the stuff, and then we will continue. Yeah. Have you read this cartoon? Today's topic is curiosity. And curiosity from our point of view, that can we get more curious? And how do we deal with curiosity coming from children? Because they're constantly asking questions. Yeah, great, fine. And sometimes I want to fix something and I just give an answer, a glib answer. But is there a way of managing curiosity in a way that that becomes a journey, right? And just in case you want to send, are you curious, by the way, you guys? Are you guys curious?
Oh, very well. And if I may add, Vishwas, I think, Amrita, this might be the thing that might directly relate to the question or the concern that you are asking, the curiosity at both the ends. So I'm really looking forward to kind of understanding.
And then Vishwas, just to add, initially, I was, to be honest with you, I was very skeptical about this entire workshop thing. But then I spoke to Chetan, and with a leap of faith, I entered it. And now, as I am going more into it, I'm realizing it is not my son who is lost, rather me who is lost. And I have to go little more. These four I'm finding unfortunate. I mean, with all due respect to you, I'm finding it insufficient in the sense that probably, I'm not equipped to get capture so much in this 4 workshop. Probably I need little longer time. So the child which was which has been which was sleeping for so long, probably I'm trying to wake it up. So the child which I'm talking about is myself. That was slept long back.
Nicely put.
Very
Nice.
courageous.
Yeah.
Very brave.
I think, I think this is, let's just put it this way. All these people who are here came here because of this. If you weren't curious and you had all the answers, and so many of us think we have the answers, you wouldn't be here. But there's something inside you that says, no, this can't be it. There's something not nice about every time I see my kid doing something, I get upset and anxious and angry, and I scream and I shout. And when I don't scream and shout at my kid, I scream and shout at myself. And I go through this game of guilt and shame and anger and resentment. What the hell? I mean, this can't be it. This can't be the end of the road. And recognition of that in some parts of it probably brought you here. So here's another way of measuring curiosity. Do you ever go to Google?
Lots of time, or rather most of the time.
Every click on Google is an expression of curiosity. Yeah? Great. So where does this come from? What's the etymology? What's the origin of the word? Inquisitive, interest in others' concerns, nosiness, interest leading to inquiry, intellectual curiosity, asking more questions. And I think I'm going to focus on this whole asking more questions, that if I'm curious about why my child is doing a certain thing in a particular way, is there a way of asking the question? Or am I just going to blurt the question out the only way I know? And the only way we often know that we've been asked is, why are you doing this? Right? And even if it comes from a place of curiosity, the first word, why, is confrontational, it's interrogative, it's challenging. And from then on, it's downhill. So one suggestion is throw the word why out of your curiosity piece, or learn to frame it in a different way. Okay, great.
This is a, if I may, Vishwas, this is a big shock to me, because some of the, I mean, again, out of the curiosity angle, I follow some of the leaders as well to learn more and more. And one of them who I follow, Simon Sinek, is all of his speed is all about why. Start with your why. And I mean, you normally tend to get influenced with the number of followers and start putting, yeah.
So I have no argument with the idea of the why. It's in the framing of the question, can we throw the why away? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So think about this. You see my shoelaces untied. Now, frame me two questions. One question that has a why, one that does not have the why.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So one question that has a why is, why are your shoelaces untied? And the second one is, I noticed that your shoelaces are untied. You okay with that? Can I help you with that?
Is there a reason? No. Is there a reason?
Is there a reason?
The moment you say, are you okay with that? You put the answer into the question. That makes sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Now, as you framed it, just think of it and say, okay, which one of these am I more likely to respond to? And how am I going to respond? The first one, why are your shoelaces untied? Oh, because I like them.
Yeah.
So I have no argument with what Simon Sinek is saying. In fact, he says some really wonderful things.
Yeah.
My experience with the word why has not been the best. And there's certainly times when you use a why, and you probably hear me using it. And the moment you notice me using it, please remind me, because I want to reframe. Then I want to be aware of it. But here's the thing. I've always found why to be confrontational.
Yeah.
The way we know how to frame questions, we've not been taught. So I'll leave that there. We're born with curiosity, right? Curiosity aids survival. When I don't tie my shoelaces, I'm having an adventure. I'm trying to find out in my life, what happens if I don't tie my shoelaces? That's my curiosity speaking. But if you get me to tie my shoelaces every day of the week, I will never know. I will never discover it for myself. And here's the thing, everybody I've asked, not everybody, most people, when I ask them, have you ever tried playing football or walked with shoelaces untied? And have you fallen? And the thing is this, hardly anybody has fallen. You know, very often it's somebody else who points out your shoelaces and says, hey, your shoelaces are untied. What does that mean? You've been walking around for a fairly, some distance before somebody noticed it and told you, and then you tied it. So my point is this, that we are operating from myths that were told to us by whoever was in our lives. Teachers, parents, grandparents, neighbors, all these older people have told us this. And I'm not sure that there's a great deal of wisdom in it. I'm not sure about it. And the thing is this, I don't know if we challenged it, questioned it, or we were even allowed to do that. By and large, we were not. And if we were, then we say, because I'm telling you so. Kahani khatam. Fix it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think Vishwas, sorry,
Go ahead.
kind of pairing is interjecting, but I think it's the speed of the change in the environment as well that has got a lot to do with this. Our environment when we were growing up was like pretty fixed. So those instructions or asks or rules were very much manageable, and you hardly would see an exception around those rules in the environment. Now, in today's day and age, the exceptions are just at the flick of your fingers, right? I mean, and suddenly the question comes,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Because somebody
that's-
woke up and started challenging the entire old system. Yep, you're right. Yeah.
This is where I think majority of our problems actually lie, for majority of our
Well, majority of the parenting problems, you mean.
Gee.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So, any curiosity, any question supports learning about our surroundings. That's how we find out. That's how we get to know stuff. Very simple. Okay. Great. If you were to dissect this conversation, what do you think is going on? Is my question clear?
Yeah.
Dissect it.
I think
What's going on between these two characters?
I think it's a struggle of who's right again.
That's one.
Yeah.
Go on.
And one is trying to experiment something and the other is not even, not even ready for that. This is something you just can't do it. Like,
Quite right. Pretty normal, right? So philosophically speaking, Calvin is like, God, it's deep, because here's my dissection of it. Here's a curious mind, right? And wow, wouldn't it be, I'm going to see what happens when I inhale milk into my nose and laugh. Wow, what a brilliant idea. And this is what society is telling us.
Yeah.
Now, let me be a little harder with you guys, if you don't mind. Here's you, and that's your child. Here's the other thing.
Yes.
That kid is trying to engage this person in that whole experiment. So it's not, I'm going to do it by myself. I want somebody around me. I want to have this conversation with somebody. I want to show somebody something. And now, I'm just going to switch gear. There's deep psychology behind this. Have you ever tried to risk something without curiosity?
No.
What's the predominant feeling in that kind of situation? when there's no curiosity, but you're taking a risk.
Probably to some extent, you know the outcome. The
No, what's the
probability.
predominant feeling when you choose to take that? When you're going to risk something, you know you're going to risk something, but there's no curiosity.
Fear, maybe.
Fear. That's the predominant feeling. Okay? Great. When there is curiosity, is the fear that great? The attention is on that curiosity, right? It's not on the fear. You know it's risk-ridden, but you play with it. There's something playful about that whole state of being when you're curious and know that you're doing something you've never done before. And this is where children often come from. They're figuring out their surroundings. They don't know the outcome. The adult in us jumps in and tells them what the outcome is likely to be and transfers the fear from our minds to their minds. And therefore, they will never do much because their parent told them that it was not a good thing to do because something might happen.
But Vishwas, your point is valid, but there are certain things how you manage that. Like for example, sometimes they wanted to go and play with the fire. Sometimes they wanted to put their, I mean, especially if it's a younger child, they wanted to put their finger inside that, electric switch or something like that. There are lots of other activities like that which could have a different kind of a outcome, which definitely has to be stopped because it's ensures the safety and security of the child. So
Rajiv,
how
I'm
you
challenging some of this stuff. I'm challenging some of that stuff. I'm saying, where did you get the idea about fire burns or it hurts? Where did you get the idea that if you put your finger into a socket, something will happen? Where did you get the idea?
Okay, so I did it myself. I know that I hold fire, and let me say, when my son was little young, he was not listening.
Why
I
did
said,
you do
okay,
it?
go and hold the fire.
Don't go to your son yet.
So I did myself. Okay, I burned my
Why?
finger. I
Why,
got
Rajiv?
shocked.
Why,
So
Rajiv? Why did you do it?
oh, I wanted to find out what is inside. To be honest with you,
Are you still living?
I am.
Great. Was anybody around you when you did it?
Not at all. The idea of parenting
So-
from my parents was totally different than mine.
Do you realize how much you compounded your risk by choosing to do something alone?
At that time,
Did
no.
it, no? You did it.
At that time, no.
Yeah, now I'm saying, think back and say, my God, if something had happened then, was there anybody to rescue me? And the truth is that here's the problem. We create situations in which what we are telling children is, look, you want to experiment, go and do it alone. Don't involve me because I'm too anxious and I won't let you do it. That's what we're telling them. All these deaths in rivers during the monsoon, people jumping off and doing all those interesting things, which lands them not just into trouble, but also kills a lot of people, it comes from the same place. Nobody told them that if you try and cross a bridge over which water is flowing because fast, that you will get washed away. They just started walking. And you go to YouTube and you see a whole bunch of these things. Now, many of these are adults. Okay, I saw a very interesting thing. Some adults, they had to cross that bridge and they put a rope. Now, here's the funny thing. People crossing the river, there was this adult crossing the river and he did not hold the rope and he got dragged away by the river. Now, here's my point. your son wants to experiment with fire, electricity, no problem. How do we create an environment in which they feel the freedom to say, hey, Dad, you know what? I want to see what it feels like to light a fire. Can you stay with me? And can we at that point in time not say something like, oh, fire is bad and dangerous, blah, blah, blah. Don't do it. Can we just stay there with them? I think that's the question. It's the ability, how do we build the ability in a child to be able to ask when their curiosity is alive? So here's the answer. Curiosity chooses collectiveness. They're more likely to risk something when they have someone with them. And as a parent, can I be that person? Because, like you said, Rajiv, you did it all by yourself, man. You compounded the risk. If I want to see, even in finance, they use this word, right? Mitigate risk. What does that mean? Reduce the risk. Risk is inevitable. How do we reduce it? And we reduce it by saying, okay, I'm going to be here. Go ahead and do what you want. I don't know if I told you this, and if I didn't, that whole shoelace thing, my sons and my father said, carry a first aid kit. That's all. Because they're going to do what they're going to do. The only question is, do you want them doing it in your absence or in your presence? That's the question. They're going to do it anyway. Just know this. Whether it's drugs, whether it's screen time, but whatever, man. They're going to do it. Okay. You know that whole, okay, imagine if you were the parent, you ask your kid, what are you doing? Nothing. Nothing at all? No. And you say, I'll help, and you just do whatever they're doing. Yeah, what kind of a space do we create in that moment? In all cases of curiosity, there's a collectiveness and a need to belong. If your child is afraid of you, how can they feel a sense of belonging? If you are afraid for the child constantly and you live in fear, how can you create a sense of belonging? Please understand, attachment is different from belonging. Attachment, emotional. Belonging is sense of togetherness.
So can you just go back to the previous slide, which was, sorry, I'm taking little. So how do we make sure that the last word is very, very extremely important, that it's also okay to fail? How do we make ourselves acceptable and make the child also acceptable in this paradigm? Because I strongly believe that there used to be a good Hindi saying, गिरते हैं शहसवार वो क्या खाक उठेंगे जो गिरना नहीं जानते. Unless you fail, you will never succeed. I mean, the pillar of any success is the failure first. And even in since you work in corporate world,
So Okay, so what?
So my point is that sometimes being too success oriented, we ourselves find it difficult to allow that failure. That is one. And second, these days, there is too much of peer pressure on the children, and no one wants to fail, as if failure is something so bad that it will come and bite or chop your head off. So how to bring that awareness in both sides?
Sir, may I make a suggestion? Do you have a definition for success?
Okay, that's another good question. So I don't have a definite one, but I mean, because it changes from people to people, place to place, and time to time. That's how I look
So
at it. But
let me
whatever
do-
you are doing,
Let me
sorry.
do one thing.
Yeah.
Let's get you a little sentimental about this. What is success in the context of your child?
My definition might be different from his definition, but
We're
I
talking,
want
no, forget him. Context is the child. So what's your definition?
so he should be first of all that at the end of the day he should be happy of what he's doing, and he should excel in what he's doing. That is how I define it. Now, if you want me to define excel, then in academics he should know, or rather I'm least bothered on the marks front, but yes, I definitely give a lot of value to the skill what you're learning.
How will you know whether he knows what he's studying in school?
I don't have a definite measure. I still feel that exam is not the right measure, but still that is one portion of um, the input. Second is I personally is involved in lots of studying or activities with him, so I know how much he knows or how much he does not know.
Great, brilliant, which means that you're investing your time in the relationship and not just measuring his ability or inability by looking at his marks at the end of the term. Is it making sense?
Absolutely.
Great.
No doubt about it. I mean,
Great.
we are all part, or we are all product of that older system. I mean, how much we have succeeded or failed, I don't know. But
So now, if you know what he has understood and what he has not, there's a whole bunch of people who understand way beyond their age, but struggle to put it into words and therefore fail because the system demands that you have to express it. Only then that's how you're measured. You know that, right?
I agree.
Great. Now, that's all. Then just remember that, because then he might get, then if he gets 20%, don't even, well, why would you even pay attention to it?
Mhm.
And that requires courage to say that I'm going to build a relationship with my son to a point where I get a better understanding about what he has understood and what he has not understood. And he can fail in school and they have to pass him till the 8th anyway. Choice hi nahi.
I wish we had that choice.
Of failing somebody?
Sorry?
Of failing somebody?
Oh, no. I mean, you said they have to pass us, right?
They have to send you to the next class. Yes.
That's what I'm saying. I wish we had that choice in our times.
Oh. But they do now. So one way of looking at it is to say that, if you're an anxious person, you're going to say, oh, you mean he can actually go up to the 8th grade and not know how to read and write? Yes. Another way of looking at it is, thank God Nobody is judging and measuring him and telling him he's a bad person or he's a failure by keeping him 2 years in the same class. That's another way of looking at it. I think, and that 8th grade age group, God, their bodies are going through so much. And over that, we want them to perform. So if your question was that it's also okay to fail, Rajiv, with the attitude that you are telling me you have, there is no such thing as failure.
So that's how I say that, I would say it's a lacuna on my part. And the reason is when the parental instincts kicked in, you start comparing, if not externally, at least internally. And the moment it happens, it changes your behavior. So to bring that constant awareness is something.
Yeah, that's the fun part. That's why we're doing this. We know all this. I don't need to tell you any of this stuff. Seriously, you know all of it. I'm just giving you words to describe everything that you ever felt and wanted, but nobody told you so. I'm not telling you anything new. You already know it. Yes, Shirisha.
Vishwas, belonging is the heart of curiosity. I'm just not able to crack in the sense, I mean, I'm not able to comprehend this. Like, belonging to what? Like, if I'm curious about something and I want to know something, what will it mean? Like, belonging to what?
Can I answer that in my limited understanding? Vishwas? Belonging to that thing, Shanisha. I think we have a innate need to be one with anything basically that we want to belong to. that's just my limited understanding. Vishwas, you may have,
Okay.
yes.
So I'm going to show you a model very shortly. And there was a very interesting interpretation. So I was, okay, Shirisha, can you hold on? I'll give you a one-line response now if you want. But here's the thing. Have you ever longed to be part of something? That is belonging.
So you're saying curiosity aids that need for me to belong to whatever I want to belong.
Yes. And fear doesn't help. So this whole idea about, ye parivar hai, this is a family, you have to feel a sense of belonging. But damn it, I'm so afraid of my father. How can I feel a sense of belonging? All I feel is fear. I long to be rid of that fear. Only then can I feel a sense of belonging. At the age of 30 something, I sat my father down and gave him good. It was about an incident when I was 17, which affected the next 17 years. And on that day, when I spoke to him and told him about it, I let it go. But I had to find the courage to get rid of that fear of my father. And I chose to do it at 32 or whatever, 33. And I told him, I said, you know what? That was the lousiest thing you ever did. And he sat and listened and he said, my God, I didn't know it. This is what it did to you. I said, well, it doesn't matter. But today I found the courage to tell you, which for me is an indication that potentially I may not feel so afraid of you anymore. So don't glare at me and don't say any of that stuff because it's not going to make a difference. And for me, it was a moment of emancipation. I just let something go in that moment. And from that day, I began to feel a sense of belonging to my father or with my father. Till then, it was all fear. It was crazy. Anyway, that was just an example. Okay. So, all that stuff collected over years, and here's our children, right? Now, how do they receive? They receive situation. Don't think you can hide as much as you want. But just remember, we are animals first. We sense, we smell, we know it. Don't you know it about other people? When they're angry, upset, sad, whatever, happy. So you can try and hide as much as you want. It's not going to work. Okay. So your child senses you. Okay. And I think this is really, for me, an important question, that when I encounter my child, how are they sensing me? How are they receiving me? And for a period of time, I would wake up in the morning and I said to myself, I'm just going to tell myself today is going to be a joyful, beautiful day. First thought in the morning. And this whole auto-suggestion thing seems to work. And I found that I could float through a lot of different things and still continue to feel a sense of joy. My anger was less, my anxiety was less, my sadness, all that stuff. It kind of reduced a notch. So when I encountered my children in the morning, whatever moment it was, how do they perceive me? And for me, that became a really important piece. So how do your children, who are you in that moment that you encounter your child every morning? Who are you? They're sensing it. So they sense it and they respond to it. How do they respond? They respond through emotion. So very often, if you're angry, your child will be upset, anxious, also hyper. If you are hyper, your child may be hyper. Okay, so their inner world is responding at the feeling level. Okay.
So are you suggesting, primarily because of this connect at the feeling level, you might get a response which you are only, which you yourself is, showing?
Yes, it's immensely possible.
So it is basically just a reflection of your own feeling.
Right. Now, think of this. Let's assume that your child is woken up very anxious about something that day. Don't you reflect it? You may fight it. So they're anxious about an exam. Don't we also get anxious? And then our rational mind may find all kinds of arguments, but we pick up their anxiety. And then the adult mind is saying, oh, don't worry, all will be fine, but it won't. Why can I not just say to my child, I sense anxiety? Is that true? What are you anxious about? And this is that whole conversation that I'm leading to, saying we need to learn to have conversations with our children. But it can't begin if I'm anxious. If I reflect my child's anxiety, I'm also going to only add to the anxious conversation. My conversation itself is going to be anxious. And here we are dealing with the inner world, okay? Feelings. We don't know what feelings are being generated, but they are. So we receive, and depending on whether we like something or they like something or don't like something, they respond, okay? First response is at the feeling level. then reasoning and intelligence may kick in. And this whole sense and feeling piece has to do with survival. Just remember that. Okay. Once I recognize, or the child recognizes that there's no survival issue here. And today survival has taken a very different meaning. I don't want to dive into it at this point in time, but survival could be, today is a friend's party and I don't have a dress to wear. Survival kicks in. Okay. So then the rational part, and then there is the learning and change piece. And here, a lot of this is about being and becoming. They want to be somebody. They want to be fashionable. They want to be there's a whole lot of things. A lot of their drives, their curiosity, everything is driven by some desire to be something and become something. Okay, so far? Now, the point is this. We've got absolutely no control over how they feel about something, what they think about something, and who they're choosing to be or become. Please get a hang of this. And most parenting is trying to control this.
Yeah.
Silence is equal to agreement.
Agree. Yeah.
It's kind of shocking, right? You mean I have no control over how they feel about something, what they think about something, and who they choose to become? Damn, that's crazy. But it's true. And the sooner we recognize that we have no control over this, the better we will be able to manage our own situation. So here's what we do have control over. We have control over, and okay, let me just take a sidey one here about 3 beliefs. I'm just going to show you this. If you disagree, then talk to me. Otherwise, just read it and lump it. Because there's so much truth to this. We respond to so many signals every day. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, next time the phone rings, don't look at it, don't pick it up. Just sit there and let it ring and see what it feels like. Let's say the doorbell rings. You just sit there and say, it's all right. Doesn't matter. You know what I'm talking about. It takes such a different energy to hold back, right? I have to go. Doorbell is wrong. I have to go and open the door. So my child is putting his finger into the electric socket. First belief. Second belief. Yeah. Okay, so far?
Yeah, the second one is the most difficult I'm dealing with.
Rajiv, don't try and change anything. I just want you to read it and say yes or no to yourself. That's
Oh, yes, I can connect it like anything.
That's it. And it's like moment to moment all the time, damn it. And it's not just my children.
No, it has nothing to do with children. I'm finding it difficult to digest this fact.
I know, good. That's why I'm just throwing it at you and keeping quiet and saying, you decide. Third belief. Okay. Great. Now all we bring these beliefs into our environment. We bring it into our behavior. We bring it into our attitudes, and we bring it into our relationship with our children. So here's some homework for you. Which of these three beliefs do I bring into my home? How do they show up? Che, this is their journaling assignment if they want to do it. Which of them are inevitable? What do I do if my son's lighting a match? Okay? All right, so I'm just going to bring it back. Now we bring that into, and then we try and exercise external control. Now here's what we do have control over. It's the outer world. And the outer world is essentially the environment at home. Where's the relationship happening? What kind of setting do I have? What are some things that we've said that I have decided are okay, not okay? What are the boundaries that I'm going to draw around my relationship with my child? And what are the things we do? Do we do them together? Do I expect my son to study even though I spend 14 hours in the office? Okay? This is what we have control over. We have absolutely no control over this. So I just want to draw your attention to some of this. Okay? Repeat. No control over any of this. You can try. It never worked with you, and it won't work with your children. This is where we can do something. If I want them to have to tie their shoelaces, where is it happening? Is it happening in the anxiety of running to school? And what exactly is the expectation? Drawing boundaries. And just remember, nothing happens in the first attempt. Nothing. Okay. So here's the solution. And the question is, how do we get children to get inner control? I think that's where we are moving in this conversation. Okay. Have you ever tried pushing a rope?
I did. Literally as well as the way you wanted it.
What did you find?
I think rope has more of a, and I'm telling you from my own personal experience also, it has more of an emotional value rather than being an actual value. And I'm talking about literally a death and life situation. I was at the height of 17,200 feet. We were just did a summit. And when I looked down, I have to, and this was, on a Bali Pass. It's a very difficult summit. So when we have to come down, and I mean, we did a lot of effort to go there and all, but when I look down, it's like 250 feet of straight wall, which is more like a, if you fall, that then you're done. I mean, goodbye to everybody. So we put up a rope, but that rope was, and then we are supposed to use that rope and come down and all. Initially, we thought we will do rappelling, but not, lots of us don't do rappelling. So that rope was just, we used the rope and we came down somehow. But later on, we realized that rope was of no value actually. We are just holding it for the sake of holding it. Practically, when we came down, it was without the use of the rope, but rope was, it's like your lifeline. However, my life depends on that rope. That's how the feeling was at that point of time, to give you that courage and hope. And even in the real life, or when you're talking about the rope which you are giving, say for example, if I wanted to extend someone a rope of a ray of hope, or a rope which is giving little more leverage, I think same applies here also. That's what I realized after a long
Push
time.
it as much as you want, but they've got to start pulling it. Only then it helps. Actually, as an experiment, no, take a rope and try and push it. It's kind of hard to imagine, no? Okay, so, and this is what we are trying to do with our children. You can't. So here's the alternative concept. Does gravity push? Or does it pull?
Pull.
How do we become something like gravity? How do we create a pull? I think that's the question.
I think, yeah, influence.
I think the
And,
world of influence. So very often, Che, do you have the definition of this here? You didn't put it there, did you? You took it out.
The second one is there. It's in the next-
Etymology. Okay. No.
Oh,
The etymology of influence is to create a flow. That's the origin of the word. To create a flow. How do we create a flow? Can you push water? Water, you can push water up. Let's imagine there's a slope and you're trying to push water up. What do you think is going to happen? It's going to eventually flow down. And I think with our children, no, we're constantly pushing. I think the question is, how do I create a pull? Because only when there is pull can there be influence. Because then it flows without resistance. So if you want to influence, say less, yield more. Try it. Because part of this is about dealing with our own anxiety as well. My child must have breakfast before he goes to school. So stuck to it. On a particular day, let's just say he doesn't have breakfast. Then what? Don't you have the faith that he will figure out what happens? Can we not have a conversation as a result of that experience? Maybe breakfast is not, there's a whole, I mean, how many of you have breakfast every morning? How many of you don't have breakfast? See? Oh my God, Amrita, I've got to start screaming and shouting at you because breakfast is a very important thing in my life, right? Yeah. Suppose I just let it go, yield more, and I say, she doesn't like breakfast. Okay, so now what? So if you want to influence, anyway. So last few minutes, I'm just going to throw a few thoughts at you. If you want to comment or not, I'll just move on. See, we want performance from our children, right? Whether it's ironing clothes, having a bath, folding clothes, eating properly, not doing certain things. So much, man, so much pressure. And we're judging them on whether they do it or they don't. And then we think that if I want performance, I have to be strict. No. So compassion and performance are not binary. It doesn't mean that if you want performance, you have to become, I mean, I don't know, how many of you heard of Nadia Comaneci? The first time this 13-year-old.
I am aware.
Yeah. Wonderful.
She was one of the
story.
greatest athletes in the Olympic. I mean,
At the age of 13, she got
Yeah.
all 10s at the Olympics. Never been done before. But when you look at her life and what she went through and whose agenda was she fulfilling, you'll find that there's a horror story behind it. I mean, the kind of things that her coach did in order to get her to that performance. Now, and then there are other stories. And I think the question we've got to face as parents is, if I show compassion, does it mean that my children will not perform? No. If I want compassion, if I want performance, do I have to throw away compassion? No. And somewhere we've been it's almost ingrained in our heads that if you want performance from somebody, you have to be strict, you have to be rude, you have to set schedules, and everything has to be airtight. And that whole thing comes from a desire to control. You want to control, you will encounter resistance. That's the natural way. If you get a chance, please read this Nadia Comaneci story. It's quite amazing. Even what's her name? Biles,
Simone Biles.
Simone Biles, same story.
There's also, which was a documentary on Netflix about this tennis player Naomi Osaka and her whole childhood and how she like it's quite revealing about.
Why don't you put these links up for them to watch so they get a sense of it? And I'm sure there are counter stories where it was all love and affection and they still.
Yeah. If you wanted to see the counter story, you can look at documentary on Pele. Is one of the and Jesse Owens both. I mean, Jesse Owens was how he has overcome so many hardships, and same is with
Put
Pele.
those links into the group if you don't mind. So whatever
I can forward it to Chetan. I am not the administrator, so I cannot post, but I will share with Chetan. And in fact, there is a good parody on why we should not do Google, made by some of the employees at Google itself. So I will share that also with Chetan, if Chetan is okay to get it.
Sure.
And it's a very good, very, very good, with a good music behind it. Normally I don't listen, but it was so compelling that I watched it for the entire 10 minutes.
So also check out King Arthur. I mean, I don't know how much, don't go by truth, okay? Just go by what the movie is showing you and what's the message. That's what because we'll never get to know the truth anyway. But King Arthur about, Serena and this one, Williams, tennis players. Okay.
And if you feel compelling, then you can watch one of the very, very inspiring stories, or the it's called Seven Peaks, and it's a very, very compelling story how a person can overcome such kind of hard piece with so much love and compassion in his life. Started as a Sherpa than being a special unit forces in
I
or a,
think it's on Netflix.
It's on
yes.
Okay.
So an interesting difference, no, in Seven Peaks is that everyone else didn't want him to do it.
Absolutely. That's precisely the point.
To do it. And whereas the other examples that we were talking about, I don't know if the child made that decision, right, since childhood. It's
I agree. So
other
that's why I said both sides of the story.
Cool. Please put all these links up.
So Che, is it okay if I call you after this call for a minute or so?
Yes, of course, anytime.
Thank you. Thank you, Vishwas. Thank you very much. Today was quite an interesting and insightful session, I would say.
Any of these get to you?
Last two, certainly. I mean, all of these are gentle reminders, basically, of the beauty of the phenomenon we call life.
Yep. So just a reminder that next Sunday we won't be having a session. Our last session is on the week after that. And I haven't planned on any, have we? No, haven't planned on any content or gyan to share with you. The idea was that maybe 3 sessions will generate enough turbulence for us to just have a conversation about experience or the practice of everything that we've covered so far. But I'm curious to know what you would like, how you would like the last session to go.
Could you come with the child as well?
Wow. Okay, and what shall we do then? Are we going to include them in this conversation or?
Maybe a summarized nutshell, getting to know them from different perspectives as well. I don't know. I mean, just a thought that just comes up.
So my take is it's a very good suggestion. Maybe not the entire session, maybe last half an hour, and then just to give them a glimpse, probably that it's not only the children who have to learn. Even as parents, we are also learning. We are also trying, so that they can also connect that learning is a constant process. It is we are not perfect, and we have not been born perfect. And unfortunately, our parents have not made us perfect as well.
Okay, so you guys exercise your choice. In case you do bring them, then I would like to ask them a few questions.
Yeah.
Just to get some insight into how they
Absolutely. That would be fun. And in fact, probably
dangerous also.
And my son is a 6-year-old. What do you think he'll answer you?
Tough, but I can try.
Then I'll think about it because he's a 6-year-old. So I don't know.
You make that call. And sometimes older children will often be very articulate, and younger children may not, and they might say, "I wish my mother gives me more screen time." And
yes,
to say about that, right?
Yes, that's why I say. There's a long list of complaints coming just because I've had to put my foot down.
I know. And yeah, they're just doing stuff. And so I will have to be careful with the kind of questions I ask. So you decide whether, if you think your child is capable of having that conversation, do bring them in.
My son has been coming and listening to part of the conversation, going away in the last 2 sessions till now.
Brilliant.
Mine too. He already told me, so you are attending. Somehow, he didn't listen to what I said because I am putting an earphone and all, but looking at the cartoons and all, he already told me, so you are attending Sochu workshop.
Great. So
Vishwas, sorry, I just have one request. Can we have the next session perhaps in the afternoon, evening time? Because of the time difference I will be in basically.
Tell me what time you're looking at.
So 10 o'clock would be like 5:30 in the morning, right? It will be very, very difficult to get her up at 5:30 in the morning.
Sure.
So anytime like 4, 5, 6 afternoon would be absolutely wonderful when we can make it up.
Okay, so I'm not going to make that call. This group's going to make that call. Anybody has a struggle with doing? Che, what do you want to look at? 4, 5, 5?
Possible after 4, it's fine. 2 to 4.
Sorry, Rennie?
Between 2 to 4, it's not possible.
Okay. So
Could we make it 11:30 in the morning, India time?
no, he'll be in England 11:30.
No, by the time it will be 6:30 for him.
Does that work?
No, let's
Prashant,
keep it.
just one day, right?
I think, yeah, that should be fine. 11:30 should be fine.
11:30 is fine.
Can manage that, yeah.
Thank you.
Everybody else okay with it?
Yes, 11:30 is fine.
Cool. So the last
And-
session on, I think it is the 8th, 9th. 9th October is going to be at 11:30.
Okay, 9. Got it.
And you might be bringing your children, but you haven't answered the rest of my questions. Do you want me to cover some more content, or I mean, like?
Yes. We would love it. At least I would love it.
Okay. Anybody else? Thoughts?
Yeah,
Yes, Sirisha.
which was also like something that you touched upon in the previous slide was, how do you create that boundary? So now I just want to understand that boundary creation a bit more, if
Okay.
there's something.
So here's what we're going to do. I will come prepared with whatever, but you, all of you have to come with a situation that you're struggling with. And I'm not going to give you the answer, but I'm going to role play it and we'll find an answer together.
Well, the session that we are having today, I would like to, I want more answers to this, or maybe probably more discussions on this itself.
Which part?
I think the entire part.
Okay, great. So will you come up with triggers that we can have the conversation over?
Yeah, in fact, the very thing like safety is mere emotional weather, but rather the foundation of which strong culture is built. I want to understand this more, it's like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So great. So I'm not coming prepared with anything. You're going to come prepared with situations and we're going to role play it. And if there are some things that you want, more conversation around, we can have that. But I'm going to invite you to bring your energy to it instead of me preparing for it. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. So your energy is going to drive the next session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Vishwas just wanted to say that the last slide that you said, no, compassion and performance is not a binary choice. This was something that just touched a raw nerve in me, because this as a concept or something that I've never seen anywhere. Like it just touched a raw nerve, and it sort of brought out so much in a. So I can't process that right now, but that was really powerful as a parent, because dealing with that, constantly trying to like
And that's the
losing that.
biggest struggle. How do I show kindness and yet I want something happening?
Because the pressure of performing as a parent, it's also influenced externally. So in that moment, I forget to be compassionate to myself as a parent. So it's like you're trying to role play something.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, if I was to metaphorize it, I'd say that what I'm hearing you say is, when the first rains on the mountaintop, water is flowing and it's encountering all kinds of rocks and resistance. And it's hard. It's a noisy stream. And as it joins other streams, it becomes a river. And somewhere towards the end, I believe you will find some calm. But right now it's going to be a little noisy. And just can I just share a thought with you? This is how I've always felt. When I'm torn between performance and kindness, for me, my biggest question is, what will give me greater joy? And kindness trumps performance any day. Because performance is limited to a time frame. So my child comes first, or he brushes his teeth, great, done. Then what? Khatam. There's a certain longevity to kindness and compassion. And when I can, and I keep reminding myself about that I told you about the day I screamed at my son, right?
No.
No? Someday, are you okay with this little story?
I am.
So, my elder one's 25, and he wanted the car. And he's got a car, but he prefers to go on these long journeys using my car, because his car guzzles too much gas. It's one of those luxury models that he bought cheap, but he loves it. So all his Goa trips and all his holiday stuff, he uses my car. And he over the years he's been returning it dirty, and inside is dirty, outside is everything. So on a particular day when he returned from a long trip during the monsoon, I found my anger and I screamed at him. And I think I must have said about 6 words, pretty much. That's it. And I said, what am I doing? And I finished the screaming and I said, look, I can't talk anymore right now. I'm putting the phone down. And I went through this amazing, strange energy of guilt and shame and anger and And I said, God, I talk about this, supposedly teach it. What do I need to be doing? And I said to myself, what is more important at this moment, my son or my car? Doodh ka doodh, pani ka pani. I don't know if there was any conversation after that. And then I kind of called him and I said, I'm sorry I screamed. And that's all I could say at that point in time, because this was such a huge revelation in the moment. And then I sent him an apologetic message. And he sent back a message saying, it's okay, Baba, don't worry. I just kind of, my finding that place I dare say it changed my relationship with her. And I don't know, and for me, that was a separation of performance and compassion. I prefer the word kindness. I don't know what compassion is, but kindness, I think I can figure out. And it changed that for me. And I keep asking sometimes I think, you got to find that right question for yourself. What can you ask yourself that will slap you into a different frame? And for me, it was that dirty car, son, what am I weighing? So catch the moment when you find yourself doing something like that, catch the moment. And I think that's what makes all the difference. I know it has to me. So thank God for our imperfections, that we have potential to move and grow.
Did he return the car the next time and it was clean? Was it like, did that change anything?
Here's the interesting that you asked. He did take it again.
Okay.
And he filled gas. And he got it washed.
Oh.
And yeah, well, he didn't clean the inside of the car, but what the hell? My son's more important than the interior of the car. And I didn't say a word to him. All I did was say, hey, I noticed you filled gas. Thank you. That was it. But, the danger is that I start measuring on the basis of that. I don't care. I mean, if he had returned it dirtier than the previous time, I would have still said my son's more important than the car. Yeah. Guys, this is a long journey. Don't try and fix anything, please. Every time you get into a fix-it mode, you will hit a wall. And I dare say there are times when you have to get into that. If your child is walking into peak traffic, trying to cross the road, that's not negotiable. But you don't have to scream at them and tell them all those ugly things that, oh God, I'm telling you, I think some of the most ugly things that I ever said on this planet are said by parents to children. We call it care, we call it concern. But the damage we do is unbelievable, unbelievable. And I know you know what I'm talking about, because you've cringed, you got angry and you got upset and you said something. Nah, guys, this is a long journey. Nothing is going to fix anything by itself. The only thing we need to do is to fix the relationship, and everything else is then magical. Sorry, I kind of tripped.
No, please, thank you for sharing. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Have fun. 2 weeks. No homework.
No, you've given homework. Those are a lot of questions.
Did you do it?
Yeah, I'm going to do it.
You've done it so far?
Yes, I have.
You have?
Yeah.
How have I missed it? Okay, then I will.
It's just that I write at the end, but I have.
Yeah, okay, I will. Then I will take a look at it.
Thank you. Bye.